one interesting thing that comes up is when we look at inference or training is really how that plays with usage at the edge. So when we start looking at for customers or industries where you really can't come out from their four walls, you start filtering some of these lists, right? And I think when you start looking at it from that aspect, you kind of see like a really good player or a leader starting to emerge. I think Databricks is at a good point to be able to really take advantage of some of those types of use cases. I think Google and Microsoft are starting to migrate into that aspect of what Databricks is doing as well. So, going forward, I see really the players it's going to be around the top four you kind of highlighting. In terms of my exposure, my teams and those things is really around those four. AWS obviously has a key areas and key workflows, collaboration, along with Google and Microsoft as well. But I think they really have that vendor, collaboration really good and solid. So yeah, from my experience, it's really around those four, and I think Databricks is really growing in the right direction. One of the things I've actually last couple of weeks I've been looking at some of their data lake, the Delta Lake type capabilities, the on-prem, off-prem ability to support that model as well, and the governance that they can put in terms of how you stage your data, how you data preparation, cleansing, and all that stuff is really, really good. So I do starting to hear about the same with snowflakes. So I do expect them to kind of really go in that area as well too, and we are looking at them as well.
Yeah, so you are starting to look at Snowflake as a possible data warehousing option to support some of these multiple cases.
Yeah. I mean, they have a really good technology in a way they can slice and dice data and access controls and give you access through different modalities and those things. I think it's going to be it's great actually, because now you have a lot of options and not everything fits your particular usage, but I do believe based on different requirements that you might have, or even the different markets you play in, each one has a role to play. The big cloud vendors, I do feel like it's becoming more opinionated in a sense of how you do it. And I think the smaller ones are a lot more flexible, and they kind of key on that flexibility to give them an edge. So if you look at Databricks, they support like a ton of different ways of how their product can be used with other open source products, right? So that's a big plus, and they support that. They really has a good so far has a good feedback to the open source community. So I think that plays a big role in how we view it as well too.
Okay, so you're seeing some of the way you said was they're starting to have more of an opinion. These different major public cloud vendors are starting to try to steer you more in the direction of their own tools and not as easily to integrate the open source tools. Did I hear you correctly?
Right. I mean, if you just go on like on Azure, for example, and you try to do it, they more or less, I mean, there is some flexibility, but you do see the opinionated way of, this is how you set it up, this is how you kind of integrate it within your products, this is how you use it, this is how and they kind of build the supporting infrastructure to support that opinion, right? If you look at, and for some it's great, for some it might not be. I will say that they don't lock you into like, for you to use these capabilities, you have to use these other capabilities, but they make it in a way where it's much easier if you use the other products that integrate seamlessly, but then you pay for that in other ways in terms of added costs and not having the flexibility in terms of pricing.